Hello everyone, welcome back to Huntcraft. This video is going to be a recap / reaction and commentary to all the news that came out recently in the lead up to the relaunch of Hunt Showdown with the new engine on August the 15th. They've released 3 dev update videos, so let's go through them. The first one was mostly about player feedback and what they learned from it. It's definitely a great thing that they're listening to feedback, and I would always encourage people to participate in their surveys. They learned better how to balance the pacts, and we could see that the pick rate has improved with event after the other. They said they want to experiment more with wacky traits like Shadow Leap, so let's see what else they come up with. They acknowledged the fact that some new additions were successful, like the Katana, the Bornheim Silencer, Marathon and Mako, and some were not, like the Cyclone and the Upper Mat, or the Dodge variants. I think they buffed both the Cyclone's recoil and the Upper Mat's damage after their release, which meant they were actively trying to address these negatives. They even mentioned that they might remove some of the Dodge special ammo, which is also good. The biggest take from this update was surely the health chunk restoration. On one hand, I get how people would love to be able to restore health chunks in other ways than banishing the boss. This leads to overall more action. You know you have this friend that dies and loses a big bar and goes like, yeah, I need to extract guys, and then you go with him. And then the map loses an otherwise active team. On the other hand, nobody wants this to be Call of Duty Warzone buybacks. You can't have revives to Red Skulls and chunk restoration be so easy. And I'm glad they acknowledged that Peacekeeper with a Lawful Pact, for example, was absolutely absurd. Especially for a solo player, you could literally die a billion times. As long as you get up, kill someone and loot them, you're back in action. This was insane. It's just not what Hunt is. The game is meant to be hardcore and punishing, and I'm glad they're not switching away from this philosophy, at least for now. The second update was about the Fair Play Task Force. This one was a bit more mixed, so let's review it. They first say they hired new people to work on this specifically, which is obviously a good thing. I immediately thought of Homereal, who is a really cool content creator for Hunt, and I was hopeful that someone from the community would be on that team. But according to his recent video, his new job at Crytek kind of has nothing to do with this. But regardless, upgrading anti-cheat is an objectively good thing. We all want that. You go into 5 or 6 star lobbies and you know how ugly it gets sometimes in the bayou. They mentioned some of the more known exploits that exist, and they stressed on the topic of the NVIDIA Profile Inspector, which is basically a tool that would let you downgrade the graphics beyond what the game settings would allow you to. I think the main benefit for players who do this is that it turns like dense grass and bushes to be like distinct blobs that makes it easier basically to see a player hiding in them. Which again, this needs to be stopped ASAP. I don't have any sympathy with any unfair advantage. I really hope they ban this right away. The best news here is they're addressing ping limits. They didn't mention a number, but they said there will be a ping limit you can't cross. So the downside is that you won't be able to play with friends in faraway regions, which is not really a big deal, I think. Just don't have friends that live far away, it's easy. But seriously, this couldn't come any sooner, and I hope the limit is as harsh as possible. When I'm playing late at night on EU servers and they get empty, I sometimes switch to US East, and I'm in the 70 ms range, and I still feel it's noticeable. So I hope it's slow enough to stop the 200 plus ms Chinese players popping in on EU servers. And they're increasing servers in busy regions to try to bridge the ping gap for people in the same region. They're strictly not calling that approach region lock, but the name doesn't really matter. It's not regionism. We just want ping abusers gone, that's all. They address the reporting system and how reports are being handled now, and they want us to not rage report players who outplay us. Essentially, give us facts and not your feelings. And if you're not sure, spectate the player first and give good details of the game specific time and region, etc., so that they can track it down easier. I'm sure someone like Huge, who is a Hunt content creator, has spectated enough cheaters. He will have something to say about this. They encourage reports on their website, so if you have video proof or something like that, go in, fill in the form, and give them as much info as possible, which I would do if I have any footage like that. They also mentioned that the system will now feed back to you when a player you reported gets banned, which is a good transparency move that can give players some confidence in the reporting system. Actually, I remember at some point they promised some sort of replay system. I think PUBG had that at launch nearly like 10 years ago. If they have one, I would think it would be easier for us and them to review cheaters. I don't know, I'm sure it can be more technically complicated than that, but think about it. In PUBG, if I get killed by a cheater, I can go back to the replay and even see what that player did before I ever met him in the game. That would make it so much easier for players to report real cheaters rather than rage report people. Anyway, just give us some sort of replay, please. They generally mention lots of reporting system shortcomings, which are many, so I'll leave the commentary about this for when we see it in action. And now for the most enraging part of this update, the goddamn attribute file. Their statement used to be that some players felt uncomfortable with the information being shared publicly, whatever that means. Some sort of PR nonsense. We understand that these tools provided interesting information to some. However, the comfort and peace of mind for all members of the community must be our primary focus. How the hell do you do that? I'm a member of the community, and my comfort and peace of mind were extremely damaged by removing the attributes file. What are you gonna do now? Such nonsense. And then on top of that, please note that we currently do not have any plans to add new API to support the tools that we basically axed. We know that this will be disappointing for you, but we don't give a crap. So a few people apparently whined, and then we kick everybody in the nuts. And now their statement is that they removed it due to GDPR issues in EU. How? Some players threatened them legally, waiving GDPR? Because some stranger on the internet killed them in Hunt and knows that their name is Timmy69 and their MMR is 2500?
Player data and consent for that data to be published is an evolving topic, and it won't always be immediately clear what the motives are for complaints.
So what, you removed the file because of unclear motivation?
Regulations concerning personal data are a hot legal topic.
Personal? What did the attribute file give us? It gave us the player's Steam ID and their MMR. That's all. It's not like the file doxed the players. Steam ID is a Steam issue. So how does Steam deal with GDPR? Why aren't Steam having legal issues with players in other games seeing the Steam name of others? And if it's MMR, that's essentially a meaningless number that changes every game. It's such an unreasonable, strange behavior, and it comes along with an unreasonable stubbornness that I really can't explain. And also, how does a website like this exist then? With all those games. Each of those games has an API that this independent website reads from and has all this data. PUBG here, for example, you have a leaders board, you have a Steam ID or PSN or Xbox ID, players history, all the names of people in the same match, tons of stats for each player. There's a weapons tab that shows detailed stats of this player. Here the M4 is his best performing gun. Where does all this stand with GDPR? It's so interesting and making me curious. I'm gonna Google this further for sure. But you know what? Fine. GDPR it is. They could have the file, for example, just show the MMR and the hunter's name. So instead of knowing it's Timmy69, if that is such a precious thing to know, it can say Felice or Monroe. I know I only cared about the MMR to chart out my progress. All you know in Hunt is just the last game bare minimum details and some vague star system. Genuinely, the worst thing about Hunt, in my opinion, is how statless it is. And they seem to double down on never changing it. I don't want to rant more about this. Let's look at something positive, which is the last update. Now that last update is about the UI. They essentially say nobody likes the UI and it wasn't designed with a clear vision or long-term strategy, so we're changing it all. Which is good to hear. Again, they're taking feedback and acting upon it. They mentioned that one of the biggest goals was addressing how clunky it is to use for consoles. because the game was designed for PC. I guess blink and you miss it here, but they kind of leaked the thing they were teasing on Twitter. Here it is, a throwing spear, and it's a tool, and it costs $65. There you go. And I would assume if they're teasing it now on Twitter, it's too long of a tease for it to be coming in 2 months, and we can see it here in the old menu as well, so it's safe to say it's coming before the new engine. Here we see it for the first time. It's a pretty standard approach from the initial look. Vertical scroll through sections with horizontal selection for the particular item you're going for, and main category tabs on top. We can see home here, for example, which takes you straight to the play section, and then horizontally you have the shooting range, tutorial, which aren't separate tabs anymore. This is cleaner overall, and again, much easier to navigate for console. We see a full section for statistics. I really hope this has more than what's in the game now. The last match screen is below minimum, it's awkward to read, anything is better than the current state, so I hope they have more meaningful stats in there. A category for the shop, and a category for Bloodline. That's a whole world of a category that I think they know they need to improve on. We can see here weekly challenges are 42, which I'm assuming is just a flood of an increase, with maybe a weekly cap of earning. Some will be easier than others, and that way players won't have some FOMO if they miss playing that much during a certain week. We'll see. They added an action menu, which again is very convenient for console, so you can get to a variety of relevant shortcuts and actions all from one place. We can see the gear tab here. This is all. Those are the 3 sizes of weapons. Then a category for melee weapons. Then tools and consumables. And we see on the right a variety of subcategories too. So the old section has 3 subcategories: all weapons, new unlocks, and contrabands. And here's the subcategories in the large section for rifles, shotguns, scopes, etc. We still have the classic filters up top here. So I guess if you go into all weapons, you more or less have the old UI. You can notice some shortening of names here: uppercut, officer. Lots of options here from the actions menu. So you can toggle favorites, get skins, compare weapons, and then you can see the 3D item. I'm not sure what weapon detail will show. It feels like you see it already, but we'll see. Still pretty friendly for controllers. And there's a legend here for more details on what each icon means. Here, for example, it's explaining more details about rending and how it works. Obvious cleanup here, so quest lines are gone. Nobody cares, so it makes sense. They also completely dumped the library tab, including the mastery tracking system. They said they're going to reintroduce them in a more modern way. I'm not sure if they mean just the tracking or the whole concept of masteries. They were uninteresting with pretty forgettable rewards, so I hope the outcome is something worth the effort. This one is pretty hilarious, to be honest. They're removing trials, and they basically said they tracked very low engagement and that it also contributed to lots of people quitting Hunt entirely because of the trials. Proper rage quitting. I kind of like that. I love that Hunt is harsh and unforgiving. Obviously, nobody wants players to quit a PvP game because of PvE challenges that were too hard. But you can imagine someone going into those and failing to the point that they say, if I suck so much against scripted bots, why the hell would I PvP in this game? Bye. It's not a big deal to remove them, but I think it's really funny. And they'll obviously work their unique rewards into prestige or other new challenges that they introduce. Maybe I should go finish them now and get all the rewards before they remove them. Maybe they make me rage quit the game. They're also removing the black market, which is a shame because it really had good deals. It was just too fiddly to maintain rolling the dice daily on the 3 vendors with slow animation. It was too annoying, I agree. So as long as they move just as good deals into the discount section in the shop, then it's fine. Now for the new UI features, the recruitment page is simplified. You have all hunters and free hunters, which I guess will be a little awkward for some players because not everybody has access to free hunters. I guess it will be grayed out or be hidden altogether. This kind of looks bad. That's the opposite of convenient or accessible, because currently, when you have those offerings, you can see all hunters and all their loadouts all at once. Here it seems you have to click on each one to see their loadout. It's a bit strange, but they have 2 months to fix it. So this is the store menu. I'm not sure what the red arrows are. The white ones mean you own the hunter probably, because otherwise you have the price there. We can see the rarity here. They seem to be color-coded in the usual World of Warcraft or Diablo color coding. Green, blue, purple, yellow, orange. Those two look new as well, I think. And there's now variants of the tiers. Well, there's actually no tiers anymore. They're just different rarities. But they're also treated like legendary hunters now. They come with 3 traits, and the tier distinction has been transformed into rarity, and that goes along with complexity in their look or gear. And you can unlock those via bloodline and challenges. Otis looks new, so maybe he's the guy coming with the spear. And is that supposed to be an Elvis reference? I wasn't entirely sure about this one. Having a bigger roster with only 4 hunters in the view means it will probably take longer to scroll. Then it turns out there is a switch to grid view button down here, and it's actually great. That's cool, I think. More room for a bigger roster, and you can clearly favorite the hunters. It now has more room than before for more hunters in one view, 39 to be exact. Oh, this is juicy. The traits look so much better now. Smaller icons, more in view. You can see the ones you have highlighted with that golden arrow at the top. Also, this one doesn't look like anything we have. This looks like a new trait. You can favorite traits as well, which is a highly welcome filter. And there's clearly more filters. I'm assuming this is aggressive, defensive, movement, healing, and I guess group traits. Maybe something like Necro would fit in that category. And this last one looks like maybe event-related traits. I love this. This all looks straight up good stuff. They're also going to elaborate more on those filters in the next update. They're basically saying you can favorite things in more menus now. Weapons, hunters, traits. That filter will appear in more places, which is just great. Again, with name shortening, and the upper mat is now Haymaker. Officer is just Officer, Uppercut, Vandal, all nice stuff. Same obviously goes for the store. You can find whatever you want quicker, which is a good thing for them to get money quicker. And this last piece is obviously a no-brainer. Respeccing the bars costs nothing now, so it's just annoying to have a confirmation pop up every time you click on the plus and minus signs for something that isn't a big deal and you can just change it for free. It only makes sense to have this saved as a pre-configured preset so that whenever you recruit a hunter, they just come in the setup that you want. They said they're looking into making this happen in the future, but for now at least we'll have easier clicking through the bars and be able to reconfigure them quicker. Sounds good to me.
We can't wait for you all to experience the new UI for yourselves. We sincerely hope it is a substantial improvement, especially for our console players who've long endured the awkwardness of driving a cursor with a gamepad controller. We've got plenty more new information to share in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for more video and social channel updates.
I think that's a recap for all the news that we have till now. It's overall a net positive, and I think there's far more good news than bad news, so I'd rather be positive and look forward to all the new things. Let's see what they say in the coming weeks. Please let me know what you think in the comments about those updates or the future of Hunt in general, or if you think I missed any important bits. Also, please remember to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.